Today I'll be sharing a video on how I budget. I have a few accounts that allow me to budget the most efficient way that I have discovered for me. And I'm always troubleshooting this, so it's not going to always be constant. When I find ways to do it better, or if I need to add an expense or take away an expense. So I have several accounts. So I have 2 checking accounts. I have a main checking account, and then I have a bills checking account. So every bill that I pay comes out of my bills account. And that allows me to separate funds from money that's not allocated for anything and money that is. So that money is almost treated like a savings. Once it's in that bills account, it's out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't exist anymore as far as, funds that I have accessibility to. And then I have 4 bank accounts. I have 4 savings accounts. So I have one saving account where I save the money for my auto insurance, which I pay on a 6-month basis because it's actually cheaper, and you can get it a lot cheaper by doing that. And then I have a savings where I actually put my bill money into, and once it has accumulated with all of my monthly expenses, then I transfer it to my bills account. So once the first of that month comes, that money gets transferred to the bills account, and I have all the money for my bills in that account at the first of the month. And then I have my emergency fund savings, which that's where I schedule my savings to go into. And then I recently opened a high yielding savings account where I haven't decided at what point I will add to it, like once but so I'm thinking about doing something like, once my emergency fund get to a certain point, then transferring some of them funds to my high yielding saving account, because I actually get more back in interest.
So here I made a list of all the bank accounts I have. So I have 7 different bank accounts. So the first one is my main checking account, where all my money is deposited from payroll. Then my second checking account is my bills account, where all my expenses come out of. Then I have a additional checking account where I transfer money from my bills accounts into this account to account for my monthly fuel and grocery costs. And then I have a few savings accounts. I have one for my auto insurance, which I pay on a 6-month basis. And then I have one for emergencies, one for saving my portion of my monthly bills from my weekly paycheck. And then I have a high yielding savings account, which gets a pretty decent rate with a certain amount of money.
I guess hence high yielding, right? So those are the accounts that I have, and now we can get into budgeting. So first thing I always do, even if I'm trying to fine tune or retweak or anything, I write down every expense I have. So housing, fuel, groceries, um, any utilities that may have to be paid, any subscriptions like Netflix, and even you can even budget traveling savings too, and emergency fund savings, and also car maintenance savings. You can budget everything that can possibly be an expense for you. That way, when the money is needed, it's always there. You're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. You got it already. Is in this allocated place, and you just need to use it for whatever comes up or whatever you want to do with it. So So write a list of all your expenses, even if you want to have so much money. Allow for having fun, going out, eating out, going to different events. You allocate how much every month you will realistically be using, or what's the yearly amount that you want to have accessible to do those things like traveling. So if you like to travel uh at least 3 times a year, how much does it take, how much money you need for a trip that's realistic to you having the maximum fun that you want to? Are you driving? Are you flying? uh are you staying in a hotel? Or sometimes people may stay in Airbnbs. Or if you stay in an Airbnb, you may be going with a group of friends, so your costs may be split. Or if you're going to a place where you have a relative or a friend that live there, you don't have to worry about the housing expenses. What kind of activity you want to do? How expensive is the city that you're going to? And does this city need any extra credentials, such as a passport? Are you thinking about going to a Canadian city, Mexico, overseas? That requires a passport. Or even knowing in the near future there are different, there is a real ID that's going into effect at some point. Making sure that you have the appropriate documentation and everything for you to fulfill your trip. Because who wants to plan a trip and then get to trip day and it falls apart? Usually, a lot of people live to vacation, and vacationing is a very fun experience. And so you want to do it right. You don't want to half do it, and you want to reap the labors, the fruits of your labors. So be realistic on how much money you need for car maintenance every year. Because ideally, if you have a car that's running, that's in good running condition, you just have to get like routine maintenance. So see how much that costs for your car, so how much in a year you will realistically need for car maintenance, and then you divide it up by the months. So now you have all your expenses, everything. I'm saying everything that you pay money for, internet, everything that you say, oh, I gotta pay this. Write it down. And so once you write it down, you write all the totals. And then once you add everything up, you want to divide that number by the amount of times you get paid. So if you are an entrepreneur and you may pay yourself on a certain schedule, you divide it by that. If you work a 9 to 5, if you work say if you get paid bi-weekly, you want to divide it by 2. If you get paid every week, you want to divide it by 4. And so however many times you get paid in a given month. Oh, and then these expenses that you write, you want to write the how much it costs in a month. So if you want to budget your groceries, you want to budget for the month. So if you use $50 a week to buy groceries in your home, or in your parents' home, or in your dormitory, wherever, if you use $50, you want to multiply that times 4, and you want to budget that monthly expense. And so at the end, you divide that by however many times you get paid, or how many times you have money coming in. And then so once you get that total is what you will auto generate to come out of your main bank account into your bills, like savings fund. And so if you expect money to come in every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you schedule it for how many times it will come in, so it automatically pulls that money out and put it either directly in your bills account, or you can do like I do. I put it in like a bills savings account, and then once and then I have another transfer schedule for the first, so it pulls that the grand total out into my bills account. So you can do it either way, whichever one works for you. It works for me to kind of be ahead, like at the end of each month, I'm paying the money that's getting transferred is all the bills money for the next month. So that's another month of bills taken care of, out of sight, out of mind. And so yeah, so you want to do whatever transfer for your bills, for the amount of your bills, for however, you know, times you get paid. So so I did some mock numbers.
Here are those mock numbers I was referring to, and as you can see, it totals out to be 1960, and that is your monthly expense.
And so as you can see, I did like rent, mortgage 900. I did utilities for 150. I did internet 60, fuel 150. You know, this is for a whole month, even though may not be that realistic because of gas prices and everything and inflation, but just giving examples. So groceries, I put 250. And some people have student loans, credit cards, so I also kind of threw that in too, just giving a variety of realistic expenses. So student loans, I put 200, credit cards, I put 100, and then I just put fun 150.
Here we have our total 490, so that will be what comes out of your main checking account every pay period.
Then you can either divide it by 2 if you get paid bi-weekly, 4 if you get paid every week, or however many times you get paid. And then that total you generated to come out of your main bank account, when you out of your main bank account into your bills savings account, or your main bills account. And then even I know some employers allow you to split your paycheck into different accounts. The only drawback is when you want to change it up, you have to go through that same process. And some employers, it's like it may not be effective until the paycheck after next. So, you know, that option is there to allocate your paycheck to be split up into different accounts from your employer. But I always find it best to just have the money going into a main bank account, and I do all the splitting up, because if I want to tweak it, I can delete all the current transfers and start over all over again. And so so once you have set up the transfer for your bills, then you want to set a transfer up for either for it to come out of that bill savings, or you know, if you're going straight into the bank account, you're good. So now that the money is where it's supposed to be, auto set as much as you can up for auto pay. You know, it may be some bills that you may not be able to set up for auto pay. Like, you know, if you pay rent, you know, most landlords require you to physically bring them a check, even though, you know, that's not the case with all of them, because, you know, technology is becoming more advanced, and you can send money through banks and things like that, which you can't auto pay. So, you know, just automate as much as you can, because it takes your mind off of worrying about, oh, I gotta pay this bill, this bill, this bill, this bill. If you auto pay as much as you can, the better. At one point in time, I was able to auto pay all my bills, and I just had to make sure that, you know, nothing went wrong. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, these were bills that didn't fluctuate, or I allowed for a fluctuation, like light bill, not so much the water bill, because that stayed pretty consistent, but you know, the electricity bill goes up and down depending on if it's cold or hot outside and what time of the year it is. So, you know, think about that too when you're budgeting. You want to budget for any fluctuation. So if your water bill, or your light bill, your gas bill is trending higher for X amount of months of the year, that way you have that cushion to be able to accommodate that without thinking like, oh, I gotta add X amount of dollars to my bills account. And then once you auto pay everything, you want to also designate a amount of money that you're going to pay yourself into your savings. You never want to compromise on your savings and building, and you work for the money, so you need to pay yourself. And I always say pay yourself first, even before you start designating your bills and everything, you pay yourself first, and you schedule that payment too, so it comes out automatically when you get paid. So realistically, any money that's sitting in your main account should be money that has no attachment to anything. So that way, if something do come up and you say, oh, I do have this extra money in my bank account, you're not skimming from something. So always pay yourself first. And so, you can start at a certain percentage. You always pay yourself and then change it as you go, but never not pay yourself. You'd be amazed how much money accumulate, even if you decide to save cash money. There's plenty of methods, like the envelope method, where you number it from $1 all the way to $100, $1 up to $50. You can tweak that stuff to accommodate you, where savings won't become a stressor, but you have skin in the game as far as having money when you need it, and not having to freak out or try to figure out some type of means to pay for anything that goes into your lifestyle. So just make sure you're paying yourself first, foremost, and then you pay the other people. And if you ever find that you are living paycheck to paycheck, and you don't have no extra money, you need to start assessing how much money you're bringing in, and bringing in more income, and also assessing what is your money going to that is unnecessary spending and even unnecessary usage. You can be mindful of how long you run your water, because you may see that your water bill has been going up and up, and analyze your usage and analyze how you're spending your money. You never want to not save money because things are changing around, which I know is not always realistic, because as a country, and we are not really taught financial literacy. You usually, there are some parents that instill that into their children and teach them, but it's not a true reality, and a lot of people end up learning from mistakes. And so I don't want you to learn from mistakes. I want you to get it right out the gate, and I want you to be able to always have a cushion, even if it's not $1 million. Even if you have $1,000 and you got in your savings, that's your money. And if something was to ever happen, $1,000 is a decent amount of money to make something happen. And when you're saving, you want to be saving so much of, you want to have a goal of how much of an emergency fund you have, and then you want to have your regular savings. Having so many thousands of dollars saved is a really good goal to reach up to. But if you saved $100 this month, and then you save 200, 300, you always want to take baby steps. It always is always small steps that make the biggest impact, because you make those small steps enough time, and then you look back and you're like, dang, I'm at my savings goal because I started somewhere, and I wasn't discouraged because I wasn't saving as much as Monica. I wasn't saving as much as Monica, but you saved and you did what was best for you, and you did it what felt right for you. And even though I know wages and all that stuff is unfair, and people getting paid minimal wages, my thing is always try to control as much of the situation as you can. If you're getting paid poorly, you find better opportunity if you can. And if you can't, if you feel like you're in a rut and you may not have the resources to get more skill set, you use what you got in the moment. Even if you save $1, or even if you save the change when you go break a bill, when you use cash, even that change accumulates so fast. And even if you saving just your change, if you roll it yourself, the bank actually change it out for you. Because I would, I don't like rolling coins, you know what I'm saying? It can be easy sometimes, but it can be very tedious too, because you got to roll them based on the coin. And I would just lazily just go to the Cornstar, but Cornstar take a portion out of that money, you know what I'm saying? So if you want all your money, I know banks like Capital One, and they'll take the coins, but you have to roll them. They not rolling them, they not taking loose coins no more. So start wherever you can. Just start, you know what I'm saying? Just start. And the way this budgeting is, it's very durable, you know. You know what you need to spend, what are necessities and some luxuries that you want to have. But you also account for paying yourself and making sure everything is taken care of. And having that bill account really help, because it allows money not to be on the forefront of every thought you have. You don't have to stress about money. Even if you go as deep as budgeting for your groceries, you have X amount of dollars for groceries, you stick to it, and you'll always have that money available. And then another way to save money on groceries is doing a grocery pickup, because you can see how much money you're spending, and you can take stuff in and out the cart and say, do I really need this? Do I need that bag of chips? Or do I need to add that fruit to that? And you start being a more efficient shopper, because it's kind of hard to do that in the store, because keeping track of how much stuff is and how much money you spend, it's not always the most efficient way of shopping. And going back and forth in a store like that, it's not always efficient. So I do mine from the comfort of my computer, and it works. It really works, because you stay within your budget. Because when you see it creeping up, you're like, I only got this much for this week, and so I need to take something out, or something can wait, because I don't eat that on a routine basis, so I can do without it this week. And so yeah, just some takeaways. You list out all your expenses, and then you divide and then you want to add the totals for whatever it'll cost for you for that expense in a month, even your groceries, even fuel. And then even tolls too, if you got to go through toll lanes and things like that, you budget that stuff. And then you want to get your total, and then you divide it by how many times you get paid in a month. And then whatever that total is, you want to transfer, you want to do an automatic, you want to set up an automatic transfer to that account. And then that way, once the bill time comes, the bill money is there. And then your savings too. Once you want to go travel, you've been saving for 6 months, your money is already there. You just have to do the planning. And so I'm always trying to find better ways to be better with money, and being passing that information on and helping others, and even helping my family to have a better relationship with money, and view money as a resource and not something that's just designed to accumulate material things. I'm in a space now where I want to invest my money. I want my money to work for me, so I won't be an older woman working or having to work. If I want to work, I will be working by choice, and likely I would be working for myself and not somebody else. But yeah, so I'm just big on that, and making sure I'm setting the standard, so my children's children will never have to struggle for money, and they have a leg up when they become 18, when they decide whatever they want to do with their life, or whatever direction they at least want to start. Because sometimes at 18, a lot of times that's not whatever ideal you have, that's not a lot of times exactly the progression or the path that you may go like you think you may, you know. So thanks for listening. I hope this video found you well, and I hope you learned something from it. And I just have this last piece of advice. You take your destiny into your own hands. The Most High will guide you. You pray, you be prayerful, and you live by what He has directed you for, and you will never fail. Yeah, you will face bumps in the road, but you always want to reanalyze what happened, learn from what happened, and become a better person. It's all about self-improvement and getting the work done. So if you're not good with money, you just watch my budgeting video that made you a little better with money, at least changing your mindset about it. So if you have any questions or anything that I can make a further video about, or you may want to know how I deal with something else, you can email me at tklwpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll be, open to have any dialogue. And I thank you for watching this video, and have a blessed one.